how's it going?
Good, Jason. How are you?
Doing good. Welcome to the podcast again.
Well, yes, leading is serving.
Yeah. You doing well?
I am. Things are getting busy. I'm looking forward to trying to get back into the whole groove of being back in school. That's still a transition for me.
Right.
I'm still kind of dealing with that. I don't know if you are at your house, but
In varying states, yes.
I was just talking to somebody this morning. It was like, it just seems like, kids go to school every year.
Uh-huh.
So you would think it'd be like clockwork, right?
Totally.
Not even a chance.
Easy. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently you need to teach me your ways then.
No, I'm saying that's what
That's
it
the
is
way
in
it
your
should-
house, right?
No, not even close. Like every year is a transition.
Yeah. There's some video out about herding cats,
Yes.
and that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Oh man.
So what are we talking about today?
Well,
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of excited about this one.
are you?
I
Are you?
am.
Yeah.
I am.
This thought around is every problem that we encounter, and not necessarily in life, but
Right.
maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
We
And I say this is something I'm still chewing on.
Okay.
I'm still working through this.
We just
okay?
need to let you guys know that this is kind of a work in progress. So
Right.
bear with us. We're
Right, because Chris and I think we've probably even mentioned it on the podcast at one point.
Right.
Of like the three-legged stool, that you have to have strategy, you have to have culture, and you have to have finance. Yeah, that's the three. Those three legs have to be strong and stable to succeed in business.
okay.
So that and if one of those legs falls apart, your three-legged stool is not going to stand up.
Right.
If you don't have the cash flow,
Yeah.
you know.
It's kind of hard to stay alive.
Right. If you're great people and got a lot of cash, but no strategy, where are you headed?
Right.
And you got a lot of cash and a lot of strategy, great strategy, but
Yep.
your people are
Yeah. At some point the
stool's falling down.
stool's coming down.
That's right. But this theory, this question that we want to just kind of chew on today, takes that people element to a whole different level.
Right.
That it separates leadership from culture. So
Okay.
culture is kind of it's the all-inclusive environment to the ethos, your values, your vision, kind of everything. How does all that work together as a culture to achieve your strategy and profitability? But if we separate leadership out of that, this question then is saying this is the floor that your three-legged stool sits on. That your culture will not be healthy without healthy leadership.
Right.
Your strategy will not succeed without healthy leadership. And you will not have profitability or financial stability without healthy leadership. So this question is asking, what is the foundation? What's your three-legged stool sitting on? Okay, because you can get a bunch
Ground
of people,
level, right?
You can get a team of 5 together and develop a great culture.
Right.
But if nobody really steps up and leads in that strategy, you're still gonna. So this question is asking the foundational question of, is every problem a leadership problem? Can every problem in each of those 3 legs be boiled down to a leadership problem? And so we're gonna go down that road and
Let's tease that out a
see,
little bit.
see if we agree or not.
Right. Let's put some ideas to that, or
Yeah,
put some real life situations at some level to that.
And so last episode we mentioned the Google Aristotle project. It was a huge study that Google did on leadership, workplace culture, and environment, and things like that. And so
That was the podcast we were talking about a lot of culture stuff.
last week's. Yeah.
With All In. Okay.
And so not just this Google study, but Gallup, Harvard Business Review, all these reputable places have really studied what it takes to succeed in business. What are those key metrics for a team to thrive well?
Right.
And those keep getting boiled down to 5 areas.
Okay.
And we've talked about these numerous times. So
let's.
number 1 is communication.
Okay.
That you're developing a common language, that you have an objective toolkit, vocabulary, things like that help you communicate across all departments, all teams, and all people in your organization.
Okay.
That when effective communication happens, that builds great relationships.
Okay.
So trust is developed. When you communicate well, you just the relational oil inside the machine is much smoother, you know. And so on top of communication relationships, then you're able to build alignment, that your alignment behind your core values, your mission, your vision, your 90-day rocks, your yearly goals, you know, things like that. All of that alignment begins to come together because communication is happening, relationship is happening, and people are on board and buying into the vision.
Right.
Okay. Out of that then is execution, that you execute on the vision, on whether that's the daily task, the quarterly goal, the annual goal, the, you know, whatever that might look like. You know, how are we executing? You know, are we getting the job done? Which all of that then breeds capacity, room for growth, whether that's as the company, profitability, we're expanding our product line, we're adding a new service, we're doing, you know, we're moving to a new city, we're opening up a branch location, we're creating a new program that we've never done before, you know. Do you have the capacity for growth? But I think that's also on the individual level too, of, you know, does this person in such and such position have the opportunity for room and advancement and grow? Can they grow as a leader? Can they grow in their role as well within the company? So when all of those 5 things are clicking, it just really, it's like a wheel of momentum that takes your business to the next level. Yeah. You know, and so it's, you know, if you're a company and you're struggling with alignment, you're like, I just don't, you know, I don't know why so-and-so over in such and such department just keeps doing the wrong things. Well, it could be an alignment issue. Right. So how do we, you know, do we have the relationship? Do we have the communication that we can work on that, you know, and get that person back on board? So those 5 things are key. And so this leadership theory then is that every problem boils back down to these 5 things in leadership: communication, relationship, alignment, execution, and capacity. Okay. So does it? Is every problem a leadership problem?
So let's take some, I don't know. Let's take some real life situations. I mean, I guess, I'm trying to think of like, well, I mean, you just brought one up not too long ago. We were talking off the air about some, one, what was that one situation that you popped up with? Because like,
you're testing my memory.
Right.
I was going to start with an easy one. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Because I have a couple, but I don't like, I don't know. Yeah, start with your easy one first.
So what about, I mean, you know, everybody's gone through workplace drama, gossip, backstabbing, right? You know, that probably has happened in every country in existence, company in existence for all time.
Every business known to man, pretty much.
Right.
Like, right? Everybody's dealt with it.
I mean, Julius Caesar even dealt with it. So.
Right. He started it all.
Literally. So if you have that drama, if you have, you know, the water cooler talk, if you've got things going on, you know, or, you know, say, you know, we work across the cubicle from each other, you and I, and you do something that just kind of makes you chaps my hide, right? And I don't go to you to talk about it. Right. I go to other people. Right. And I, you know, gossip and grump and groan and complain, and, you know, or we're working on a project together and we don't like our supervisor. Right. We think he's inefficient. Or just a clueless, or whatever that is. Whatever it is. You know, we sit there and we grump and groan. Right. And so what if, so where's the breakdown in leadership there? Right. Is it really that?
It's totally like the first key, which is communication, right? So, I mean, at some level, then we need to take our beef or issue with him directly, him or her, whatever it is, directly to that person to try to figure out how to best. Because, I mean, like, that's a two-way street, right? We could be frustrated with something that he did or said, and we took it wrong, right? So then we would need to address that directly with him or her. So to figure out what the best outcome would be, so that maybe it is a personality thing, maybe a personality trait, right? But we have no way to know that, I guess, at some level, until we communicate it with the relation or the relationship to try to understand, to make sure that we don't create bigger problems. Right.
So on one level, are we going to the source?
Right.
Right. I mean, you can't fix a frustration if you're
just griping about it.
If your toilet's leaking, you don't go check the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't. Yeah. So you go to the source.
Right.
And and then you have to figure out, how do I communicate well
right.
in that situation? You kind of need to know how you tend to communicate.
Right.
And if you're emotional, if you're frustrated and,
right.
At the point of,
well,
blowing up, then you got to learn how to communicate in the midst of that.
And I think this kind of goes to that, but all at the same time is a little different. What I've noticed too in the workplace is when some of this drama or some of this frustration comes up with your counterparts, right? Oftentimes I find that I get more frustrated at people at work when I have a problem at home. And not that they're connected, but my capacity of dealing with it is not there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so, I can only deal with so much drama each day.
Right. Well, and if I already have a max capacity of, say I'm at 95% of drama, and really in my world I only want 1%, right? Then when it comes to work, I don't have any capacity for it. So I'm not going to take something well when it shows up in drama, right?
Right.
So, or what I perceive as drama. I could perceive it as drama because I think that my capacity is low to be able to deal with it.
Right.
When in all actuality, somebody was trying to communicate something to me and I took it wrong.
Right.
So I've noticed that about myself. I'm not saying that's about anybody else, but I also go, whenever I have a conflict, I oftentimes do a gut check like, hey, are you not that person, but me personally talking to myself, are you at a full capacity dealing with something at home that's running over?
Right.
Or are you portraying some irritations that I have at home on somebody at work?
Right.
And I feel bad saying that because I think that people should be able to manage themselves decently. I said, but I also think that what we don't realize is there is run over. Like we are one person that's trying to do work and trying to take care of our family.
Right.
And if you don't recognize it for what it is, it bleeds over.
Yeah.
Like I'm only one person, but I am trying to do multiple things. I'm trying to be a dad. I'm trying to be a son. I'm trying to be a husband to my wife. And I just, so those multiple hats kind of bleed, that make me a whole, but yet also bleed into each other.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, some of the language we've used on the podcast is we want to be a leader worth following.
Right.
A leader worth following is a leader who is self-aware.
Right.
Who understands their capacity and what's taking up their capacity.
Right.
And so if home's taking up 95% of the capacity or work's taking up 95% of the capacity, and you're going home and checking out, to be a leader worth following, you need to look at that going, why is the capacity getting sucked away?
Right.
What is the
bigger...
Do I need to lead better at home?
Right.
Do I need to lead myself better at work?
Right.
And
I'll be honest with you, like that is probably one of my biggest problems. I think if you want to boil it down to simple things, right? If you want to boil it down to that one problem, my guess is I struggle with balance of trying to make sure that I am being real to the hats that I'm trying to wear and being successful and being a leader that's worth following. Because I don't know who's following me, but I also know that if I would even consider following myself, I want to be able to be good at these things.
Right. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, a good leader is one that takes a deep look at themselves and looks for that, boils it down to that one simple issue.
Right.
You can go into the hospital and they'll treat you for a sneeze or a cough, but that's a symptom.
Right.
Well,
and you didn't just sneeze at the dust that came through. Maybe you sneeze because you have allergies. You need to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like,
what's the underlying issue that we can work on and fix? Yeah.
Right.
So, let's take another scenario. If it's things are inefficient or balls just keep somebody's not finishing projects on time, or when it comes around to such and such aspect of their job, they just never get it done. They don't. They just never do it.
Right.
That's easy. Why shouldn't you? You should just get
suck
it up and do it. You know, that's how we often feel about it.
Right. So would you call this an alignment issue? Because it could be a.
I think a lot of these things could touch on a couple. I mean, on the surface, I think it's execution.
Okay.
Because there's inefficiency. They're not getting the job done. The balls are being dropped.
Right.
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 But what if it's an alignment issue of you've got an extreme introvert in a highly extroverted role,
yeah,
or vice versa,
right?
Or you want somebody to crank away on spreadsheets that really should be in R&D,
right.
dreaming up new things,
Uh-huh.
Or vice versa. So maybe it is an alignment issue of this is the role we need done, and so there we go back to a leader worth following is somebody who is self-aware.
Right.
So do I know what I'm good at?
Right.
What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses?
Uh-huh.
And does that align with the job I've been asked to do?
Right.
So, how do you...
I mean, I guess at some level you could... sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No,
there.
keep going.
But I think that, like, if you have mistrust with your manager, then alignment and execution are going to be a problem no matter what.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, it could be multiple facets to this, and including the fact that we might just have the wrong person in the wrong seat.
Right.
Like, which starts with communication, right?
Right. Right. Because I was talking to another leader earlier today, just saying, if we go back to the 5 voices, there's some of the voices are polar opposites of each other.
Right.
At least that's how it feels.
Right.
A pioneer is all about reaching the goal.
Right.
The nurturer is all about taking care of the person.
Right. Well, we just had a conversation like this too the other day, like on Monday.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Like,
we did.
I was just asking you because I know a strong pioneer in my life that I know that person likes to get a lot of stuff done.
Right. And the perception can be, which is where we go into creating mistrust, is that the pioneer doesn't care about people.
Yeah.
But the pioneer truly does care about people.
Yeah.
But the way they do through that is by, hey, if we reach this goal,
right,
we are caring for people well.
Right.
And the nurturer is going, but we're not caring for people. I don't care if we meet the goal or not.
Right. I'm like, we're completely going about this the wrong way because we're not taking care of people. We're just getting stuff done.
Right. And so having that perspective of being able to communicate, these are my tendencies, this is how I view the world.
Right.
And knowing that, if you have that relationship, so there's communication to relationship,
right,
breeds alignment. You're like, okay, I know you're going to push hard for that goal. And I'm going to trust, and I know that you do care about people.
Right.
You're doing it in a way that I don't get.
Right.
So I'm going to, on the way to this goal, because if we miss the goal, we can push that to the next quarter. I'm not too worried about that.
Right. The nurturer is totally that
I'm
way.
going to make sure the team is good to go.
Right.
So that we can meet that goal.
Right.
And so you begin to align together, valuing each other's differences, the value that you bring to the table.
Right.
Rather than going, you kind of stink as a leader.
Right.
Nobody feels like we don't feel like you have our back.
Right.
When in essence,
where's the support?
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
They just express it differently than other people.
I got to tell you, Monday, that opened my eyes to so much because I was like, oh, I never thought of, and honestly, because I probably lean towards the nurturer side, right? I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was your second voice.
Yeah. So I was like, it was high, right? It was in the top 3.
Well, all of your top 3 voices are very people oriented.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
and so
100%.
the pioneer in my life who I was like, oh, I never thought of their, at some level, them being able to show their appreciation to somebody by getting stuff done. And that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It didn't click for a nurturer. Like, you're running over people, and in my head, you're like, you're running over people to get stuff done. I'm like, that doesn't seem very nurture-like. Like,
right.
You're not taking care of people. Well, it might seem like that to me because it wasn't as, I guess, touchy-feely as it wasn't as relationally based, where that person is more on a track of getting things done. And I'm more on the track of making sure that people are okay and through the process, but we still got to get stuff done. I get it, but I also don't know that I'm like beeline down the road going,
right.
Boom, I got to get there.
Right.
Where I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So sorry, a little side note.
No, I think you're right on top of that.
That's all.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that the other day, and talking, like, getting blessed with the fact that we got that, we were able to talk with Brett and Luke at All In Painting.
Yeah,
like it was
a
great to
last
see
week.
that. I think that Luke has some more tendency to be more of a pioneer. He's more direct. And
Okay.
then, I don't know for sure, but
Right.
my guess is. And then Brett has the tendency to be more of a nurturer, where he's really more relationally based. And like, I was like, wow, those two team together, like, because their communication is so good between the two of them and the trust that's
They
there.
talked about trust.
They did.
100%.
And so that being said, like, they're going to be they're already a dynamite team.
Right.
Like, because they've already attacked some of these major things that are up ahead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's think of some other issues. What about wasted effort or duplicate work?
Well, and so I know duplicate work. Like, I just talked to my guys about this just the other day. Like, we were talking about my right-hand man, Scott and I were talking, and we had shifted his role earlier in the year, and what I didn't realize was that he was trying to do multiple things that were needing to be done, which is trying to help the guys stay on, get done what they needed to get done.
Yeah.
But also do estimates, but also make sure the guys are on task and they had the materials that they needed to get what they needed to get done.
Yeah.
That was probably too general. Anyway.
You're good.
So what I didn't realize is that when Scott was trying to get materials for the guys, and then it almost created some downtime where he was trying to stay ahead of them, but then he would have to go run an estimate, and then they wouldn't have the materials they needed, which created a problem. It wasn't duplicate work, but it wasn't wasted effort,
Like
but
lost time.
But it was lost time.
Yeah.
In the fact that they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs, waiting for Scott to show up for materials, but yet he had to go do an estimate, and I was like, oh. And honestly, like, when because I wasn't sitting in his role, I didn't see that. But until he communicated that to me just recently, then I was like, oh, that makes total sense. No wonder why he was frustrated.
Yeah.
Because he was frustrated because of the fact that we didn't communicate the fact that he had too much. The things that were on his plate were misaligned, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it was not done. Like, if we were going to adjust roles, and because we're trying to figure out, as a small business, which I think every small business goes through, right? Mm-hmm. You start a business and you're wearing the whole business as your hat.
Right.
So it doesn't care. It doesn't matter what bus you're driving. You're sitting in every seat.
Yeah.
You've just duplicated yourself 15 times. Okay.
Right.
And as you add more people, you're trying to take that hat off and give it to somebody else. Well, we've gone through some restructuring, I guess you could say, to try to shift some of those hats around to try to make sure, to try to figure out how to grow and in the process, I didn't realize that, depending on the hat, sometimes it doesn't always go well with the other hats, and therefore it actually does need to be a different person.
Right.
Does
Well,
that make
and
sense?
how many times have we gone to say, you have leader A and leader B, and you go to leader B and say, hey, your skill set would be so much better at this task than leader A.
Right.
And honestly, leader A's plate is full. So
Right.
I'm going to take that off that person's plate and
Right.
give it to you. It's your hat. You wear it. You excel at it. You're going to do a great job. Blah, 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 whatever you need to do.
Right.
How many times have I done something like that and forgot to go back to leader A and say, hey, by the way, I got that off your plate.
Yeah.
So now A and B are both doing the same thing.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've done that
Right.
because, I fail at communicating at times.
Right.
And then we have a misalignment on the team because we have two people doing the same job, overlapping efforts, and you have lost time, you have wasted effort, duplicate work,
Right.
Yeah.
Which we tried to do that too, where Scott and I were both doing estimates. And when it first started out, I was like, I had too much on my plate and I needed help. So Scott took some of that off my plate, and that's what created his problems that I just talked about. And I was like, so as a small business leader, owner, operator, I think what I'm trying to learn is, okay, you need to hire somebody to be able to take that hat. But when you're initially starting, you can't afford to hire anybody. You're just trying to get stuff done.
Right.
So you get paid at the end of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the job. So it's,
Yeah.
and so to your point, to the question of the original question, which was, is all problems leadership problems? Well, in every one of those scenarios, it's totally a leadership issue.
And so I think as leaders, we just have to keep asking why.
Yep.
That don't be satisfied that you've actually hit the bottom rung
Right.
of the problem,
Yeah.
you know, of, you know, we keep missing a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it's because so-and-so's not doing their job. Why?
Why? Yep.
Why are they not doing their job?
Right.
Well, you know, blah, 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 blah. Oh, they didn't get trained well.
Yep.
They don't know how to do that part of the job. That's why we're missing the deadlines.
Right.
Okay, well, why did they not get trained well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the person who was training, blah, 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 oh, they left the company. And so we just kind of skipped the last 2 weeks of training.
Oh.
Well, why did that person feel like they need to leave? Why did they just leave?
Right.
What's going on there? So just keep asking why and boiling down to what caused what so that you get down to the root issue of, all right, we need to work on this.
Well, and I mean, like, when you were talking about all that, right? All in my head, I know that with the coaches that I've been talking to, it's like when you're going down that road, make a list of the issues so that way you don't forget to come back to those smaller issues,
right?
Because they do need to be fixed, right? At some level, but you are trying to focus on what the problem is at the bottom.
Because if you fix the root issue, you probably fix quite a few rungs above it,
right?
In the process.
But then you know whether you're fixing them or not if you've already recognized that it was an issue. Does that make sense? Like, so if you fix that bottom rung and you knock out, if you have 10 things that are wrong and you fix the bottom rung, which is the main thing, and you knock out 50% of that, okay, then there might be some communication that also needs to go along with that to make sure that the other 50% gets knocked out too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need to make sure we implement this too as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like for that person that got, didn't get trained well because the last 2 weeks the guy left. Okay, so the problem is the guy left. We need to address that and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Right.
And make sure that this person gets the training they need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So which when we're sitting here talking about it, I got to be honest with you, it sounds simple. But
it does.
You know what I mean? Like, but if I told you tomorrow, hey, I need you to go fix this problem, then yeah, you could. It might take you 2 days. It might take you 2 weeks. It may take you 3 months to figure out what the root of the problem is, and then to implement the fixes on the backside. Yeah, it takes time. Like, and that's I think one of my frustrations as a business owner. It's like nothing moves fast enough like I want it to, especially when you're trying to fix something because the last thing you want to do is have continuous problems, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes getting to that bottom rung takes time, and sometimes fixing it takes time. And so then that these things are still problems. They haven't fixed themselves.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, I got to get to the bottom of this. So maybe tomorrow the big deal is not going out and trying to find more work as much as it is trying to get to that bottom rung. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that might pay better than going out and getting more work.
Right. Yeah, because if your problem is 5 rungs deep, right? If you're going to keep that ladder illustration, and all you deal with is the top rung, maybe the next one down, the 5th and the 4th, right? You're just going to be fixing those forever because rungs 1, 2, and 3 are still going to keep creating the exact same problems that you're trying to fix up there. So, where it comes to your capacity, your ability to lead well, you've got to work your way down the ladder. Get to fix that first rung. It might take a little extra time,
right? But
it'll reap great reward in the end.
Yeah. We were just talking about in my business group this morning, we were talking about CRMs. The
customer relationship management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the things for those is it is a communication thing of what do we need, what are we using as good communication tactics to reach out to our customers, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's the relationship side of things. There's an alignment side of that as well. And I'll be honest with you, we're going through a shift. We are trying to change our programming that we're using right now. And I got to tell you, it is annoying. It's annoying to have to go through it, for one.
Yeah.
It's annoying that the program that I'm currently using is not hitting the mark for where I think it should be.
Right.
And it's annoying even more so to have to spend more time to go through all these different options to figure out what's best for us. And that drives me nuts. So,
okay. So let's go all the way back to the beginning of the 5 things.
Yeah, go for it.
If it's something that drives you nuts,
yeah,
who on your team loves it?
And that person has taken the time this last week and this week to research them and go through YouTube videos that they put out, tutorials, as well as spending time with their I'm sure they have a sales team or something like that. That's a promo team or something like that.
Right.
So I know that she's been on the phone with them.
Yeah, you call them once, they'll call you back 12 times.
Right, exactly. Like they're not
teams.
going away. Yeah,
that's right.
But they're not calling me, thank goodness.
Right.
And so, while I was in my meeting this morning talking to other professionals, they had brought up another name, and I had not heard of it before. And so I sent it to her and said, hey, can you look into this one too? Because she's like, what is this? And I was like, it's another CRM. I was like, can you look into it and see if it's even worth pursuing? Because there's tons of them out there.
Yeah.
And and unfortunately, in the contracting world, I need to be able to communicate with the people that work with me and the people that are purchasing, asking us to do work for them.
Yeah.
So it's another communication issue. It's another relationship issue. It's another alignment issue. And
it's a trust issue.
Yeah. And it helps with the execution and to make sure that our capacity stays online.
Right.
Because we're dealing with all that.
Right. If you can streamline that CRM, your capacity grows.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, there's so many times people are like, so what's your timeline? But that is one thing that is hard to nail down. And I can give you a ballpark timeline.
Right.
But I can't give you, hey, we'll be here next month at 10 o'clock on the 10th of September.
Right.
Like, there's no way. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I have a ballpark understanding of what I'm doing for the rest of the week. But that doesn't mean, like, we had one of the jobs that we did last year sprung a leak. It wasn't our fault. Fortunately, that we were, our part was fine, but another part of it broke. They had another contractor involved with it. And so it was, but we're more than happy to come and help to fix it.
Right.
So, because I think that that's part of staying in good communication with the other people that I'm working with. Right. And relationships. Right. And it aligns with my core values because I care about people. Right. So, but this stuff pops up, and I can't put that on a calendar. Can you put that on? Because if you can put that on a calendar, I'm going to call you. No.
Right. So, are you in the camp that every problem is a leadership problem?
I'm leaning towards yes, but I think that the only thing that outside of that would be having the wrong person in the wrong seat. But even that comes back to a leadership problem, because if you put them in the wrong seat, then you were misguiding them to begin with too. Right.
Well, I know of somebody who went through interview after interview after interview and then is offered the job, gets on the job, and within a month is like, yeah, but I don't want to do this job. I'm doing this one. Like, did not communicate on the front end. That's not what I want to do, but I just want to get a foot in the organization so I can do what I really want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a communication. It's an alignment problem.
That is a communication issue.
That's a drastic example.
Right. And that's not a leadership problem, especially when the person knowingly went in to deal with that job, the job that they were doing.
I think it's a self-leadership issue.
Yeah.
Of that person.
And I think you're right. I think it comes back to a communication issue.
Yeah. And was there anything in the, looking back, is there anything in the interviews that were red flags going, I don't know if this person is really designed for this job?
Yeah. Which,
I don't know.
As leaders, right? I don't know that we will ever really know unless we were in the part of the hiring process, right? For that particular
but
situation.
What did that create?
But
that create a sense of mistrust,
right?
Of drama, unnecessary conflict, right there. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
what if would there have been? Let me ask you this. Let's push back on that. So the next thing would have been: would there have been a better way for them to communicate? Is there a possibility to do this other job? Versus walking in saying, "Hey, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this." Or how was that communicated?
Right.
Right. I wasn't there. I'm guessing. I'm just like, because truly, if the relationship is there, the communication's there, you go in and do your part. You recognize that you're better set up to do something else.
Yeah.
Well, then there might be a transition phase that you can do that with.
Yeah.
Because
that might be a very extreme example where deception was potentially planned.
Right.
And so that might not be the best example, but
right. But they
but
pop up, right?
Yeah.
That stuff
what
pops
if you
up.
go back to our three-legged stool? We probably should call this the podcast of analogies because we've had stools, ladders, buses, hospitals. I don't know. But if you go back to the three-legged stool, sure, culture.
Right.
That's easy to say, oh, yeah, those are leadership problems.
Right.
But what if we're very strictly about a financial issue? That our overhead is
too big.
How does that boil down to leadership?
Well, leadership is guiding your expenses, right? At the end of the day, the whole purpose of leadership is to try to make sure that finances are being managed well, because whatever's coming in has got to be utilized to its best max capacity.
Right. So who's watching the books or the costs, saying, do we really need to buy the nicest toilet paper available for the staff bathroom?
Right. Right.
Right. We could save $100 a month,
right?
Or whatever the overhead might be.
Right. That's just a small thing. But
really, are we able to bring? So, as a leader, then, are we able to bring? We've talked about support and challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, support would say, we've got the money for it.
Right.
Go for it. Grab what you need. Do what you need to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge, on the other side of the coin, would be coming to the table saying, okay, but we need to stay within our budget. Mm-hmm. How can you best get the job done in this amount of budget?
Mm-hmm.
The project needs to cost this much, not just do your thing. And so, that does become a leadership problem.
Mm-hmm.
That
it definitely shifts quickly.
Whether that's the finance person or whether it's the project manager or it's the CFO or who that might be, just going, hey, we have a threshold of how much of our total income our overhead should be.
Right.
We're not going to go above this amount for our overhead. Okay, we're creeping north of that. So, how do I bring challenge to that?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go back to any type of relational issue of, we entrusted a company credit card to an employee.
Right.
But they're always overbuying on materials, on product or stock or whatever. Right. What's going on there? So now we have to use our communication skills is there alignment on how the job should be done? Are they upholding the core values of the business and things like that? So that to get the overhead down, it comes back down to a leadership issue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that, it's
okay.
And I think my guess is, when we're talking about this theoretically, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been through some stuff personally that we can talk about this and put some situations in. But my guess is theoretically that finances are something that are a lot easier to be black and white on because it is what it is, right? Every CPA will tell you it's a numbers game, right? So you money in, money out.
Yeah.
So and
black or red, I guess, not black and white.
Yeah, sorry. But when it comes to the relational side of things, with the gossip or potential mistrust or something like that,
yeah,
I think that those are a little harder to manage because it's not as black and white. And like, are they
then
truly,
you have feelings involved?
Right. You got feelings. Come on, people. Let's not quit with the feelings. You know what I mean? Like, but you're also trying to make sure that everybody's, you want the best for people. You want them to succeed. You want them to communicate. And you hope that, my guess is that most business owners hope that you're speaking out of truth, because if you're not, then you're completely messing up this. And and at that point, maybe it's not a leadership issue; it's a self-leadership issue, or maybe it's a self-leadership issue, but it's a personal issue at that point that a leader is not going to be able to overcome unless you're willing to change it. A leader can call that person out, but if they're not willing to change it, then at that point, I don't know that you can get led in the proper form of what it was intended to be. Do you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you've got to.
But I guess if you consider a self-leadership thing, if you're not willing to consider that a leadership, then I guess you could say that that's outside of the lane of our question here.
I think I'm following you.
If that makes sense. So, like, if you can't self-lead, if self-leadership is not part of a leadership issue, then it's outside of that realm of what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's still leadership.
Yeah, I know. Right. And so the fact that we're calling it self-leadership is kind of pointing
whether that's you looking at yourself in the mirror or it's,
right,
how you lead your team or organization. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, even, it takes people to execute strategies. It takes people to bring in income.
Right.
To spend the expenses. It takes people. Right. And at the bottom line, end of the day, it still comes back to people.
Right.
And
I truly, like, nobody wants to be on an island by themselves. There's very few people that completely operate by themselves. I think even the most strongest introverts, at some level, they need somebody.
They've got a couple of key relationships.
For something,
absolutely.
Right? So back to our original question, right? Is it always a leadership issue? Well, then at that point, because you can never be by yourself.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because you
can't do anything in this culture without interacting. Yeah.
It's always got to be, we need help.
Right.
We can't do everything on our own.
Yeah.
If I could do everything on my own, I wouldn't need anybody else. So then it's got to always be a leadership issue because somebody's always leading somebody else, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I think I'm
have we hit the bottom rung?
I'm wondering.
I think if leadership is truly looking at ourselves in the mirror, at how we lead ourselves, how we lead others, that is kind of the foundational question of all problems and successes in life.
Yeah.
Right?
Are based on leadership.
Yeah. And so, we just have to keep asking ourselves why. Why is that an issue? Why is that a problem? And keep digging down, because we'll get to the bottom rung eventually.
Right.
And you may think you got to the bottom rung one day, and then you find a couple more.
Right.
A couple weeks later when it surfaces again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I see better.
Right.
So, y'all, let us know.
Hey,
let us know if you've got a case study or a situation you're like, I don't know if I think we can stump you. I'm curious.
I would really, so send your feedback.
Yeah.
Let us know what you're thinking, because these things where we do take the opportunity to dive into some questions that Jason and I have talked about, or even of considering, or even teasing out. We're not sure we have all the answers, but we definitely like teasing it out. We definitely like figuring out what your input is on it, figuring out what, there's people that have led people longer than we have that I'm sure have 2 cents about this and want to send us some info on it.
Yeah.
Meet with us. Let's even better, show up and let's do a podcast together.
There you go.
We'd love to always have another person to sit here and chat about some of this stuff.
That's right. All right.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Thanks for
It's been
conversing about this, Jason. It's been
this is one that I've been mulling on for a little while, and I'm pretty convinced. Yeah, it all boils down to leadership at some point.
Yeah.
Regardless of strategy, finance, culture, anything and everything, I think it all comes back down to whether it's the point leader at the top of the organization or it's the person in charge of getting something done. How well are we? Well, the great question that we've been asking: what's it like to be on the other side of the table from me?
Right. This is a real question.
And when we're willing to do the hard work of self-awareness and asking that question, looking in the mirror at our own leadership, it's going to be hard to address a lot of the problems that we face because we're dealing with the sniffles.
Yeah,
we're not.
And if you're a leader out there that is even, I think this is another good tidbit, and this is what I've also started to realize, is that if you're struggling with a problem, take some time just to sit and think about it before you execute.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes you need to bring yourself to a good spot to be able to deal with it. And I don't think many times as a leader, I often find myself running to deal with it instead of stopping, thinking it through, calling my buddy Jason, teasing out all the ideas, and then trying to execute out of some wisdom, not just.
Well, that's another Harvard Business Review article that did a study that leaders who spend 15 minutes at the end of the day reflecting on their day, what went well, what could have gone better, what did I learn, and you just spend 15 minutes reflecting on your day, those leaders found 26% more effectiveness in their roles.
Really?
Yeah. Just 15 minutes of reflection at the end of the day.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
But some days it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that next time.
All right. We'll reflect on it, and then we'll get back with you.
Thanks again, guys, for chatting with us, hanging out with us.
Give us a like, subscribe, comment, send us an email.
Yeah, please do.
Come sit down with us.
Yeah.
We'd love to chat.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Y'all keep serving, keep leading, and fight for the highest good of one another.
That's good.
Let's do it.